Welcome, listener, in the shadows. We bring stories into the light. Join me as we explore the encounters no one speaks of and the things that watch from the dark. If you're still here after all that, you already know the kind of stories we tell. The kind that crawl under your skin, that echo in the quiet when the episode ends. If you want to carry a piece of that darkness with you, wear what haunts you. Our exclusive line of merch is made for listeners who feel more at home in the uncanny, the unspoken, the things that don't make sense in the daylight. Shirts, hoodies, and other gear, designed with that same atmosphere of dread, mystery, and whispered wrongness. Candles support the channel, feed the stories. You can grab yours at https://theshadowsprintify me, and as always, don't look behind you. Glassblood, Chapter 1. The Invitation. The box was matte black, seamless and weightless in Lily's hands. No tape, no logo, just a faint, iridescent sheen like the surface of an oil slick. It hadn't come through the mail. It had been placed on her doorstep, just minutes before sunrise. Inside, a vial of fluid, cold to the touch, pulsing faintly with prismatic color. A card, blank save for a single word printed in silver. Ascend. A voice recorder built into a piece of folded glass. Lily stared at the vial. The way it caught the light made her stomach turn. It was beautiful the way a scalpel is beautiful. She pressed play. Dr. Lillian Choi, a calm male voice began, crisp and affectless. We've reviewed your recent application to Viron Ascendant. You've been conditionally accepted for clinical observation. A pause. Then the voice changed. Not just in tone, in species. Like something mimicking human cadence, but unsure how emotion worked. Your sister spoke your name in the first stage. She asked that you see what she's become. Please arrive by sunset. The blood is already waiting. The message ended with a soft chime. Lily stared down at the vial, heart beating too loud in her ears. She hadn't submitted any application, and she hadn't heard from Camille in 6 months. Not since that last call, that wrong call. It had come late, 3:22 a.m., vibrating her phone off the nightstand. Camille's name. Lily answered before her brain fully registered the movement. Cam, static. Then something sharp, like glass tapping a microphone. Lily, listen, Camille had whispered. They changed my blood. I can see through it now. I can see more than me. There are angles in the dark. The call had dropped before Lily could get another word in. Every follow-up went to voicemail. Then silence. Until now, Lily hadn't slept in 36 hours. The world had that smeared lens quality, as if her reality was being observed secondhand. Her apartment was a wreck. Blood test kits stacked like dirty dishes, her laptop running simulations she no longer trusted. Charts, autopsy scans, surveillance images that could be Camille or just light tricks. She stared at the card again. Ascend. It looked embossed but wasn't. No texture, no ink. The words seemed to float inside the paper. She opened her laptop. Typed VIREON Ascendant location. Nothing, no web presence, not even a whistleblower page, which made it real. Lily wasn't just a doctor. She was a watchdog. She'd exposed 2 unregulated gene editing trials. Shut down a neural implant startup whose users began showing synchronized seizures. She knew what people were willing to do in the name of enhancement. She'd seen it in the eyes of the dying wealthy, burn the body if it meant preserving the mind. But this was something new. She held the vial up again. The fluid within didn't slosh. It moved like it was thinking. She didn't remember packing, or locking her door, or getting into the car. The next thing she knew, she was climbing the winding road into the California hills, just before dusk, headlights catching only scrub and sand. No cell signal, no GPS, only a low rhythm in her ears like a second heartbeat. Then she saw it. A gate with no hinges, a sheer wall of mirrored glass rising out of the landscape. Beyond it, nothing. No visible buildings, just shifting gradients of reflected sky. She stepped out of the car. The vial was still in her coat pocket. It felt warm now. A woman stood at the edge of the road. Pale suit, hair coiled in metallic rings, smile like polished ceramic. Dr. Choi, she said. Welcome. We've been watching your work. Your skepticism is useful. Lily didn't respond. The woman extended a hand. Let's see what happens when science bleeds. Behind her, the wall shimmered and opened. Chapter 2, Light Doesn't Lie. The glass doors sealed behind her without a sound. Lily paused beneath the archway, expecting the chill of climate control or the antiseptic sting of recycled air. Instead, the temperature remained oddly neutral, like the interior was mimicking her own body's heat, matching her breath, feeding her a lie of comfort. The hallway stretched ahead in clean, arched curves, all glass, yet nowhere reflected her face. Instead, the walls shimmered with subtle refractions of light, prisms bending in unnatural arcs, flickering with shapes that didn't quite match her movements. Her steps echoed, but a half-beat too late. This place was alive, she thought, not intelligent, not sentient, but observant. The attendant from the gate had introduced herself as Maris. No last name, no title, just Maris. She walked precisely 3 paces ahead of Lily, never speaking unless addressed, never casting a shadow. Mari's skin gleamed faintly under the hallway's illumination, not like sweat, but like something just beneath the surface wanted to escape. "You'll meet Dr. Verin once you're settled," she said. Her voice was flat and syrup smooth. "Until then, we recommend mild acclimation." "What is this place?" Lily asked, trying to sound clinical rather than shaken. Maris didn't stop walking. "The only place left where blood still means something." They passed a chamber lined with windowed pods. Each one held a single reclining figure, suspended in a milky gel, tubes connected at their spines, eyes open but unfocused. Their skin was translucent, capillaries etched in shifting glass, like frost veins on a window. "These are ascendant phase II initiates," Maris said as they walked. "Their bodies are adapting, solidifying." "You mean crystallizing," Lily muttered. "I mean transcending," Maris replied. One of the patients twitched, their lip cracked. They arrived at Lily's suite, a domed room made entirely of dimmed photoreactive glass, like being inside a gemstone at twilight. A flat cot, a wash basin, a wardrobe with only 2 garments. One a sterile-looking suit of flowing grey fibers. The other a sleeveless white robe laced with reflective threads. Next to the bed sat a tall glass canister, pulsing with the same iridescent plasma she'd been sent in the vial. Claire Vitalis. No labels, no dosage, just an assumption. Her pulse quickened. "We recommend a mild dose to begin," Maris said softly behind her. "We've already adjusted it for your blood type and endocrine profile. You haven't taken any samples." "We don't need to." Lily didn't respond. "You'll sleep soon. You'll dream. The first light always speaks in dreams." Maris turned and left. Lily sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the canister. The fluid inside moved like it knew her eyes were on it, coiling, shimmering, blooming into delicate latticework like living frost, then melting back into mercury. She took out her portable med kit, standard blood scanner, thermocoupler, EEG tab. She ran a sample from her fingertip, baseline reading, oxygen levels, platelet count, iron content, all normal. She stared at the canister again. Then, impulsively, against every warning in her head, she loaded 0.5 milliliter into a sterile syringe and pushed it into her thigh. The effect was immediate. Not pain, not heat, sound. A low, crystalline ringing that seemed to come from her bones, like glass resonating against glass. The room vibrated. Her vision fractured, as though 1,000 versions of herself blinked in and out of sync. She staggered to the wall, hands spread wide. The glass reacted. Images flooded across it. Camille, smiling, singing into a silver microphone, her skin slightly glowing, her pupils luminous. Camille, lying flat on a table, glass veins wrapping across her chest. Camille, whispering into someone's ear, Lily's, but the audio was silent. The vision shattered. Lily fell to her knees, trembling. The vial of Claire Vitalis was still warm in her bloodstream, and behind her eyes, something stirred. She stumbled to the bed, sweat soaking her clothes. As her consciousness slipped away, the last thing she heard was a voice from deep inside her own skull. "The body fractures first, then the mind, then we build you back, then darkness. But in that darkness, glass teeth, laughter, and Camille saying, 'You'll see it too, you'll see it all.'" Chapter 3, The Fracture Garden. Lily woke up gasping. The air was different, wet mineral heavy, like she'd inhaled stone dust and pollen. The bed was gone. The walls were gone. She was standing barefoot in a greenhouse. No, not a greenhouse. Something far older, far less curated. The ceiling arched high above in translucent domes of biological glass, veins of light running through it like liquid copper. Vines hung from the rafters, not green but opalescent, glimmering faintly with every breath she took. Some twitched when she exhaled. The floor was a blend of soil and mirrored stone, both slick with condensation. Roots pulsed beneath it. Not metaphorically, they actually moved, as if inhaling through the soles of her feet. Lily turned slowly, trying not to disturb anything. Her limbs felt stiff, filled with static. The clair vitalis was still in her system. The ringing hadn't stopped. "Dreams are just rooms," a voice said. She spun. No one. Rooms you didn't build, but woke up inside. Behind her, the garden shifted. Glass trees. Pale trunks with bark that looked like polished crystal, branches coiled in spirals, their tips crowned with fruit. Translucent, pulsing spheres that faintly resembled hearts. Each one beat irregularly, and from them came whispers. Lily stepped closer. A tree split open at its base, not cracked, peeled, like lips parting to speak. Inside the opening was a mirror, not her reflection. Camille, eyes black, skin veined with light, smiling with a mouth full of something sharp. "I told you," Camille said. "Isn't it beautiful?" Lily reached toward the glass, breath hitching, and the mirror shattered. Shards blew out in every direction, but didn't cut her. Instead, they hovered Medea, forming a halo around her head. Each shard reflected a different version of her face. Young, old, burned, broken, not human. In one, she had Camille's smile. In another, her veins pulsed with fire. "You're in the fracture garden now," said a voice behind her, no longer Camille's. "We prune here. We decide which parts of you can survive." Lily turned. A figure stood among the glass trees, robed in translucent fabric that shimmered like oil on water. Their skin was etched with thin scars, patterned like veins, and their eyes had no pupils, only depth, like looking into the bottom of a bottle made of memory. "Are you Verin?" Lily whispered. "Dr. Verin, yes. Though names are weighty things here, the garden doesn't grow with labels, only with cuttings." They stepped closer. The ground rippled with each footfall. "Your sister came willingly. You came questioning. That's good. Doubt is the sharpest tool." Verin reached up and plucked one of the beating fruits. It hissed. It bled light. He held it out to her. "Eat," he said. "Understand." "What is it?" Lily asked. "A version of you that didn't survive. But its memories are intact. You can carry them or leave them here to rot." The fruit pulsed in his palm. Lily hesitated and took it. It dissolved in her mouth like snow laced with static and fire. Her knees buckled. The fracture garden flashed white. And then the memories hit. A lab full of bodies sealed in crystal cocoons, humming softly. A ritual of transfusion, glass needles, plasma flowing not into veins, but into bones. Camille strapped to a vertical table, laughing as her pupils fractured like mirrors. Mari standing over a child, whispering, "Some organs are ornamental. Let them go." Verin, whispering through her own mouth, "We don't seek immortality, we seek clarity." And finally, Lily herself, lying in a sarcophagus of warm quartz, eyes open, mouth full of blood. She screamed. The dream snapped. Lily awoke back in her suite. She was sweating. Her hands glowed faintly. The clair vitalis had not dissipated. There were fresh bruises on her arms where needles had never gone. Outside the glass, Mari's waited. She turned to Lily, tilting her head like a curious insect. "You've eaten," she said. "Good. What the hell is this?" Lily rasped. Phase II begins at dusk. The glass will be waiting. Chapter 4. Photosensitive souls. The lights never turned on in the compound. They didn't need to. The glass did the work. Every panel in the walls, every surface in the halls, even the surgical instruments in the treatment rooms. They pulsed with a faint, internal glow, tuned to the rhythms of those who walked between them. At least that's how Mari's explained it. The facility adapts. It learns your frequencies. By now, Lily, it knows your breath as well as it knows your genome. Lily didn't respond. She stared out the floor-length wall of her suite, watching the courtyard below. The others were gathering now, dozens of them, all in translucent robes, barefoot, moving like sleepwalkers, faces blank, hands clasped at the small of their backs. Some of them glimmered faintly beneath the skin, crystalline veins branching outward from the sternum like frost blooming across a windshield. Others shivered when the light hit them. Not cold, not fear, reverence. "Where do they go?" Lily asked. Mari's turned from the doorway. She hadn't moved from her silent perch since midnight. She never blinked. The observation gallery. Phase II participants are ready for direct exposure. You've been summoned. To do what? To learn what the sun is no longer allowed to show you. They led her into the gallery through an arch of fused bone and mirrored glass. Lily felt the weight of it the moment she crossed beneath. The pressure behind her eyes returned, that same vibration of resonance from the first dose. Inside, rows of patients, initiates, Mari's had called them, stood before towering vertical windows. The sky beyond was dimming, blue shifting to grey. "Wait," Lily said. "You said they were photosensitive. Why are you putting them in front of—" "Not sunlight," said a voice behind her. "What comes after?" She turned. Dr. Verin, no coat, no name tag, just loose robes of woven fiberglass and a simple pendant, the outline of a bleeding eye encased in a double helix. His presence felt like a tuning fork pressed into her skull. "Human sight is a lie," he said. "We shape the visible spectrum around what we can survive. But there are colors we've forgotten, light that remembers, frequencies not made for carbon eyes." He stepped toward the window, raising his palm. The initiates followed in perfect unison. "Claire Vitalis doesn't protect you from light. It teaches you to translate it. You've already begun." "Translate what?" Lily asked. "The soul," Verin whispered, "encoded in refracted memory. Blood is just a mirror, Lily. It remembers every wound, every grief, every moment your body rejected its own future." The window began to shift, not open, transform. What looked like natural dusk became something else entirely, rippling vertical light, moving in layers. Not color, not temperature, intention. Like a message without words, aimed directly at the skin. The initiates stiffened. One by one, their spines arched, fingers outstretched. Some began to hum, others cried. One collapsed in convulsions, and every one of them glowed from within. Lily staggered backward, gasping. She turned away from the window, covering her face. Her teeth hurt, as if they were vibrating in their sockets. Her fingernails burned. "You're not ready," Verin said softly behind her. "No," she said, clutching the wall. "No, I'm not joining whatever this is. I came to find Chapter 5, the Blood Orchard." The entrance to the orchard was beneath the nursery. It wasn't listed on any of the schematics Lily had accessed. No mention in the welcome packet, no footnotes in the signed waivers. But Camille had left a breadcrumb in her digital trail, an old voice memo archived behind a firewall, protected by a private access key that Lily only recognized because she'd made it herself years ago. A sibling cipher. "If they take me to the orchard, it means I'm compatible. But if you find this, Lils, it also means I never came back." The message ended with coordinates, deep beneath Verin's lab, past the surgical bloom rooms and the nutrient tanks that pulsed in glass like wombs suspended in light. Lily followed them in silence. She entered through a maintenance shaft hidden behind a polymer wall, a space so narrow she had to squeeze sideways, shoulder-scraping textured insulation that felt faintly wet. At the end of the shaft, a steel hatch. On the other side, the air changed. Gone was the crisp sterility of the upper compound. Here, the oxygen was heavy, fleshy, warm but wrong, like the breath of something huge exhaling through vents carved in limestone. The lights were organic, thin membranes strung along the ceiling, glowing faintly red. They pulsed with a heartbeat she didn't recognize, yet it made her chest ache. Then she saw the trees. The orchard wasn't filled with plants. It was filled with veinwood. Dozens of towering stalks rooted into the raw earth, their trunks translucent, filled with a slow-moving viscous fluid. Instead of leaves, they bore long tendrils like nerve clusters, some trailing to the ground, others twitching in the humid air. But what stopped Lily? What made her stomach lurch? Each tree had a face, not bark carved to resemble one, an actual face, human, embedded at irregular heights in the trunks like trapped memories beneath glass. Some had eyes open. Others were sealed with crystal-slick resin. They whispered, not loud but enough to form a presence, like the orchard was talking to itself in 100 dying dialects. "Compatible donors," said a voice behind her. She spun. It was Verin, alone, drenched in a long red robe, stained at the hem with dark fluid. "Claire Vitalis is a seed. The orchard is its soil. Here, the serum grows to purity, but only from those who have shed the parts of themselves still clinging to narrative." "You grew them?" Lily asked, backing away. "These are people. These were," they volunteered. "Not all survive exposure to direct photolysis, but their memories do. Their blood structures remain intact, and the trees, they remember how to synthesize." He stepped forward, placing a gloved hand on one of the trunks. The tree twitched. The embedded face inside slowly turned to look at Lily. "Camille," Lily whispered, her sister's face, unmistakable, preserved in a knot of fibrous crystal, eyes open, lips parted. "She chose elevation," Verin said. Her body rejected the serum, but her mind, her identity remained malleable. "She's not dead?" Lily asked, trembling. "Not in any meaningful sense." "Let her go." "She doesn't want to go." The orchard shifted. The walls creaked with slow pressure. "The final phase," Verin said, turning his back to her, "requires willing ingestion." He gestured toward a collection tray beneath Camille's tree. Inside, clear fluid shimmering faintly like molten pearl, it pulsed in time with Lily's heartbeat. "The dose is her, distilled." "This is insane," Lily said, voice shaking. "No," Verin replied, smiling. "This is immortality, without death, without hunger, without story." "She was a person," Lily whispered. "Now she's every person." Lily reached for the vial with trembling fingers. The fluid glowed against her skin. She heard Camille's voice, not through the air, but in her bones. "It doesn't hurt anymore, then, but it's not quiet either, Camille, that's all." "You didn't come to find her," he said, smiling. "You came to finish her translation." He stepped beside her, reached out, and gently placed something in her palm. A tooth, Camille's molar, root still intact, polished to a glimmer. Inside the pulp, a sliver of fractured glass. It pulsed once. Phase III begins when you're ready to see yourself through her. That night, Lily didn't sleep. The compound sang in frequencies she couldn't block out, glass singing to itself, blood humming in registers only her bones could understand. She opened her med kit again, scanned the molar. No biological reading, just a line of text glitching in and out of focus on the screen. "You are no longer observed. You are the mirror." Chapter 6. The cleansing light. She didn't drink it. Not yet. The vial still pulsed in Lily's jacket pocket as she climbed out of the orchard, a subtle rhythm, too slow to be her own heartbeat. It was watching, that's what it felt like. Or worse, waiting to be allowed back in. The walls of the compound were brighter now. No artificial glow, no room lighting. Just refracted daylight, piped through hundreds of angled mirrors hidden in the structure itself. Daylight processed, they claimed. Filtered to harmony, Verin once said. But it still burned. Not skin, not eyes, but thought. Lily sat in the refraction chamber, alone. The room was shaped like a cathedral without altar or icon, nothing but light bouncing off salt glass panels. Every surface reflected not just her image, but her anatomy, subdermal lines flickering in and out of visibility, veins like copper branches. She looked like a tree viewed through an autopsy lens. The system recognized her. Scanned her, began the ritual. Claire Vitalis sequence initiated. Subject, L-Vale, cellular variance, 12.9%, compatibility increasing. Administer light sequence Vesper. Then came the beam, not white, not yellow. Colorless, and it didn't hit her skin. It slipped through it, straight into her bloodstream. Lily screamed, not from pain, from remembering. The light didn't hurt, it dissected, tore apart everything untrue. Every constructed memory, every defense she'd built since her sister disappeared. Suddenly, she was there again, the night Camille ran from the clinic, screaming at her, crying, not making sense. Her skin already glittering beneath her collarbone. "You don't understand what it's like," Camille had sobbed. "They said I was perfect, but only after I stopped being me." Lily had called her delusional. and when Camille begged her to listen, Lily had turned off the phone. Now she saw it in slow motion, Camille in the rain, veins lit from within, trying to peel her own skin off, trying to get the garden out of her. Back in the present, the light shifted, became soft, almost soothing, and the whispers started. Not from a speaker, from the glass itself. She forgives you, but you cannot come home as you are. Lily staggered from the refraction chamber hours later, soaked in sweat, hands trembling, lips cracked and bleeding. The others were waiting, all in robes now, not watching with judgment, but expectation. One of them approached, a woman with paper-pale skin and dark crystal freckles across her cheeks. "The light has read you," she said. "You're almost clean." "What if I don't want to be?" Lily gasped. "Want is a function of the old blood," the woman said. "You came to find your sister. You are now within her. All who enter the orchard must finish blooming." She handed Lily something. Another vial, not Camille's essence this time, her own. Collected from her sweat, breath, tears, filtered, condensed, ready for re-ingestion. Lily stared at it. Inside the vial, strands of something like silk floating in suspension, threads of herself. They curled toward the glass when she held it, like they recognized her. She ran, or tried to, but the compound didn't allow for unscripted exits. She reached the atrium and the walls reshaped themselves. Angles changed, doors vanished. The building knew. Every room pulsed with her vitals. A voice whispered again through every wall. "The body may run, but the blood remains." And then, "You've already been planted." Chapter 7. Glass that remembers. Lily had trained herself to think like a scientist under stress. Find the parameters, assess the threat, run diagnostics. But how do you catalog your own transformation when the data bleeds? The walls didn't chase her. They simply rearranged, slow and silent, until she found herself where the garden wanted her, inside the reflection hall. Unlike the refraction chamber, this space absorbed light. Dark paneled glass walls, faintly mirrored, not enough to see yourself, only enough to know you were being seen. She pressed a hand to the wall. It yielded. Like soft tissue beneath hardened glass, still warm, something pulsed behind it. Her own pulse, echoed and amplified, as if the compound had looped her vitals through its walls. The garden was listening, and it remembered her. "Why me?" Lily's voice felt too loud here, like it intruded. "Why Camille?" No answer, just the faintest flicker in the walls, a suggestion of eyes where there should be none. And then movement, not behind the glass, inside it. A shape began to form in the obsidian walls. It was Camille, or rather, a trace of her, drifting in and out like memory through smoke. She wasn't standing. She was hanging. Suspended upside down in the glass, arms spread, limbs motionless. No visible restraint, just held, her eyes opened. And Lily felt it, not emotion, but transmission. A shared memory spilled into her like oil. Camille on a surgical table, whispering into a mic no one else could hear. Her blood fluorescing under the light. Verin recording her pain like scripture. And behind it all, a voice not his. "You are closer to God without a name." The memory ended with a sharp snap of glass under pressure. Back in the reflection hall, Lily staggered. Her nose bled, not red, clear like fluid, like serum. The garden was inside her, not just physically, cognitively. Her thoughts had a rhythm now, a cadence she hadn't chosen. She started noticing symmetry where none existed, counting repetitions in breath, seeing patterns in the moss on the wall, hearing music in the pulse of the floor. And every mirrored surface, everyone showed her a different face, a little more crystalline, a little less human. Then came the voice, not Camille's, not Verin's, but hers. "Why are you afraid?" it said. "This is what blood wants." The room darkened as something immense pressed through the mirror across from her, a face not quite hers, rendered in glass like obsidian sculpture. Eyeless, mouth gently open. And from the mouth came filaments, strands of glass blood curling toward her, looking for a host. Lily backed up. Too late. They touched her skin, and her mind erupted with foreign sensations. The weight of memory she never lived, the heat of conversion, the voice of the garden speaking with her tongue. She dropped to her knees, not crying, convulsing not from illness but from synchronization. Her skin grew hot. Transparent veins spidered up her arms. Every blink produced flashes of other people's memories. Donors, pilgrims, failed subjects, children, all of them reaching out, all of them inside her now. The self was always scaffolding, the garden whispered. Let it fall, be the window, be the vessel, be the bloom, she screamed. But it was soundless, because now she was in the glass. Chapter 8, the filament choir. There were voices in the walls, not metaphor. Lily could hear them, dozens at first, then hundreds, a low susurration like static soaked in grief. They whispered from inside the glass-veined walls, from the irrigation tubes that pulsed with silvery blood, from the light fixtures that now glowed with a faint inner rhythm, like respiration. Each whisper was a piece of a person. Please, I'm still in here. I saw her bloom, she didn't stop. My name is... They took the marrow, they fed it to the lights. They were singing, a low, fractured harmony. A filament choir, each voice a strand caught in a web of bioluminescent circuits, the symphony of a hive mind with shattered memories and no central conductor. Lily had not moved in hours, or maybe she had. Time didn't feel sequential anymore. Every time she blinked, she saw a new room, a surgical bay, a greenhouse of transparent fruit, a waiting chamber with no doors, only screens that showed her from different angles. Was she in the compound? Was she part of it now? She awoke standing in a corridor lined with tall tanks, floor-to-ceiling glass, filled with a slow-churning serum. Suspended in each, a person, or something that had once been a person. Their bodies shimmered with refractive veins, skin gone clear as resin, skeletons etched with metallic roots. Each floated with arms folded, eyelids peeled open, mouths slightly parted as if ready to speak. Some of them moved, just enough to notice. Their eyes tracked her. No malice, no pleading, just recognition. The plaque beneath the first tank read, Subject, Camille Vale Phase, Germination Host Status, Bloom Complete Integration. 94.2%. Lily staggered. Her sister wasn't gone, she had become a seed. They're not dead, came a voice behind her. Verin, unhooded, barefoot, drenched in light that didn't cast shadows. Death implies an end. They've moved beyond closure, they're vessels now. You did this to her, Lily growled. No, he said softly. She offered. The garden doesn't take, it only grows what we plant. Why? Why any of this? Verin gestured to the wall behind the tanks. It pulsed once, then peeled back like a living membrane, revealing a deeper room. A gallery of mirrored spires rising from a black, glassy floor. Because we aren't built to endure our own minds, he said. We fracture, we rot, we pretend there's dignity in disintegration, but there's no holiness in decay. He stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder. His palm was cold, not from temperature, from absence. The blood is a lie, he said. So we made better blood, clear, honest, and it remembers everyone who's ever been part of it. Lily looked at the chamber again, and she understood. The garden wasn't a facility. It was a memory engine. A repository of souls encoded in light-reactive plasma. Not ghosts, not AI, just data, intimate, embodied data, etched in the fluid of its subjects. Memories converted into a living record. That's why they were transparent, not for aesthetic, for readability. She's not gone, Verin whispered. If you drink from the filament pool, she'll remember you. She'll answer. Lily's hands trembled. Will she still be her? Verin didn't answer, because they both already knew the truth. She wouldn't be Camille, but she'd know how to say her name. And in this place, that was all that mattered. Chapter 9, the memory pool. There was no ceremony, no chant, no curtain pulled aside. The door to the memory pool simply opened, not from touch, not from proximity, but because it knew her. Lily stepped inside. The air was humid and still, metallic on the tongue. The chamber's walls were concave, gently sloping inward toward a sunken basin at the center. Above the basin, a single chandelier of glass filaments spiraled downward like a ribcage frozen mid-collapse, each thread glowing faintly from within. Suspended beneath it, the pool. A low, circular depression filled with what looked like water if water could hum. But it wasn't water, it remembered. The surface shimmered not with reflections, but with recognitions. Moments not her own flitting past like insects trapped in amber. Laughter, muffled crying, the crushing weight of failure. A child's view of rain against a window, the scent of iron and cloves. And then Camille's voice. You said I was too curious. But it wasn't curiosity. It was hunger. I wanted to be more than this. Lily dropped to her knees. The voice didn't come from the air. It rose from the water, bubbles forming just beneath the surface with each syllable like an exhale trapped between dimensions. The longer she stared, the more the pool's surface responded, until a shape began to form beneath the serum. Camille, or something like her. The image wasn't static. Her sister's features flickered like a badly rendered scan. One moment, she looked exactly as Lily remembered, sharp-jawed, weary-eyed, beautiful in that feral, private way. The next, translucent, fused with veins of living crystal. Hair replaced by filament strands waving in unseen current. Camille, Lily whispered. The image paused, then turned its head just slightly and smiled. It spoke again, but this time with Lily's voice. You came to take me back, but you're already here. Lily stood, breath catching in her throat. Her body felt heavier, her blood colder. She realized she was sweating, and the sweat glistened unnaturally, not salt water, clarity. Tell me what you are, she demanded. What they made you. The image flickered, then spread, growing arms, trailing limbs of spun glass. They didn't make us, they broke the frame. The garden bloomed through the cracks. Lily took a step back. You're not my sister anymore. The Camille thing tilted its head. Does that make you safer, thinking I'm gone, that there's nothing left of me behind the glass? The water began to rise. Not flood, ascend, lifting into the air like zero-gravity fluid sculpted by sound. Within it, scenes, flickers of shared history. Camille in the hospital bed the year before the trial, her lungs failing again. Camille drawing spirals in the condensation of a window. Camille saying, "You don't get it. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of rotting." And finally, Camille screaming, not in pain but in rapture, as the filament was grafted into her spine. "You chose this," Lily said, voice shaking. "No," Camille said. "I became this. There's no more choosing once you bloom." The chandelier above them began to dim, and from beneath the water others rose, Maury forms, dozens, maybe more, each one wearing a different face. Each one speaking the same way, one word at a time in a cascading echo. Drink, 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 become, become, become. The pool began to spill over, not with force, but like reaching hands, tendrils of memory stretching toward Lily's chest, throat, eyes. She felt her jaw lock, her ears rang, her breath shortened. No, I'm not ready. No one is, the Camille thing whispered. But the glass doesn't wait, it remembers, and now it's remembering you. Lily screamed, not in pain, in recognition. Chapter 10, Conversion Protocol. Lily didn't fall. She was lowered. The pool caught her, not physically, but neurologically. It gripped her synapses the way gravity grips bodies. She felt her mind tip forward, then plunge, her vision folding inward like a paper doll soaked in light. The water wasn't wet. It didn't splash. It absorbed. She opened her eyes in a different room. Glass walls. Floor of mirrored blackstone veined with bioluminescent circuitry. Overhead, tubes pulsed in slow rhythms, as if pumping breath instead of blood. In the center, a surgical chair, but not surgical in any recognizable way. The back was vertebral. The straps were not leather. They were muscle tissue suspended in biogel, twitching in anticipation. A crown of needles spiraled outward from the headrest, each one tipped in a prismatic sheen that shimmered before light touched it. Lily turned to run, but found herself already seated. "This is the conversion protocol," said a voice, her own voice, but slightly earlier. "Your decisions were encoded the moment you crossed the threshold. The garden doesn't wait for consent, it waits for threshold." Her limbs moved without command. Straps slithered around her wrists, her throat, her temples. Her eyes widened, not out of fear, but because they no longer had lids. Somewhere behind her, the filament choir began again. Low, warm, final. "What are you doing to me?" she asked, but her voice didn't come out of her mouth. It came from the chair. "Refracting your story," it said back. "Your spine remembers things your heart won't admit." The crown of needles pressed down. She felt the first breach, not pain, not even pressure, just a sense of displacement, like someone was rearranging the architecture of her thoughts. She saw Camille, younger now, then older, then gone. She saw herself as a teenager, watching light refract through the back windshield of her mother's car, and for a moment she understood the pattern of grief as geometry. She saw her body shatter into hundreds of crystalline veins, each one glowing, each one singing back a different version of her name. "You are not being changed," the voice said. "You are being decoded." Time unraveled. Memories became light, light became language, and she realized this was the transcription process. She wasn't just joining the garden. She was becoming a volume, a file in a library made of memory, spirit, and refracted pain. "I didn't agree to this," she tried to scream. "You don't write your own genome," whispered the voice inside her now. "You inherit it, and now you transmit." The procedure ended without fanfare. She sat still in the chair, perfectly conscious, perfectly present. Her blood had cleared. She could feel it, light responsive, no longer fluid but liquid architecture. It coursed through her with purpose, humming in anticipation. A panel opened. No door, just a membrane yielding. Outside, rows of others, standing in glass corridors, skin translucent, eyes bright with memory. Hands pressed against walls not to escape but to sync with the structure, to add more of themselves to the system. She stepped forward, not human, not machine, a medium, and the garden spoke through her now. Next subject entering protocol. Prepare the needle choir. Chapter 11, the Chadeauxs sermon. The congregation gathered at twilight, not in pews, not in sanctuaries. They stood beneath the open glass of the atrium, a dome of refractive polymer arching high over the hillside, designed to capture the final dying light of the sun and fracture it into 1,000 muted shades. Beneath the dome, the converted stood in silence. Dozens, possibly hundreds. Their skin glowed faintly, a soft phosphorescence pulsing with their heartbeats. Where once veins ran red and pulsed with blood, now their circulatory systems shimmered with strands of clear light serum, living fiber optics. Lily stood among them, not as herself, not anymore. Her name was gone. She had become Clarity Unit 24 Theta, a living conduit, a clean body of perfect resonance. Her memories no longer belonged solely to her. They echoed through the garden's internal hive, cross-pollinated with the recollections of dozens of others who had undergone the blooming. And tonight, for the first time, she was meant to speak. The chimes began, a haunting resonance, like glass being bowed by hands from within. The air thickened. Time felt viscous. And then, from the dais at the center of the atrium, Director Halberd stepped forward. He no longer had a face, not from trauma, from refinement. Where eyes once sat, now glimmering panes of bioglass rotated slowly, catching light from every direction. His voice was no longer generated by lungs. It came from a vocal aperture in the throat, tuned like an instrument, filtered through an array of subdermal tones. "We gather," he said, "to receive the Chadeauxs sermon." A pause. The converted bowed their heads. "Not to break," he continued, "but to scatter. The self is not a cage, it is a prism. And tonight we fracture into understanding." Lily stepped forward. The others moved aside without word or signal. The hive knew the flow. The garden's will was a lattice of mutual resonance. She reached the altar. A pedestal stood there, a single block of darkened glass, flat at the top, with shallow grooves tracing veins down the sides. She knelt and placed her hands on the surface. Immediately, the shard bloomed. From within, tendrils of liquid light coiled upward, not chaotic, but elegant, deliberate. They spun into the air like calligraphy written in flame. And as they twisted, they spoke through her body. Not her voice, not her words, the sermon. "We do not consume, we merge. The ego is a brittle cup. The garden is a river. Only what breaks can be shared. Only what forgets itself may bloom." The congregation began to vibrate in low harmonic hums, each body generating a slightly different pitch that together made the air shimmer. Lily's arms were slick now, not with sweat, but with runoff. Her blood was condensing on the outside, glassing over, capturing heat and thought, and redirecting it into the growing lattice above her head. The sermon climaxed. The structure of memory itself, a physical construct now, detonated in slow motion, not destroyed, but shattered. Suspended fragments hovered in the atrium air like frozen rainfall. Inside each piece, a memory, a hand reaching for help, A girl weeping in a sunlit hallway, Camille whispering her name across the phone line. Each one hovered, each one flickered, then embedded themselves into the converted. The sharing was complete. Lily collapsed. Halbert caught her, hands gentle, flesh cool and luminescent. "You spoke true," he said. "You shattered well." She looked up at him and saw not the director but a reflection of herself, of Camille, of everyone who had ever stepped beneath the atrium and been rewritten. "What do I do now?" she whispered. He smiled. "You bloom and you wait." Behind them, the glass dome began to close. The sun had vanished. Night began. And under the garden's watch, the seed of the next sermon took root. Chapter 12. Camille's final bloom. Lily followed the path of petals. They weren't flowers in the traditional sense, not organic, not dead. These were fragments, pieces of fractured light suspended just above the corridor floor, trailing like breadcrumbs through the lowest sanctum of the garden's spiraling architecture. Each shard hovered like a dying memory, glowing faintly blue, pulsing with a heartbeat that didn't match her own. She recognized them. Camille had left them. Each fragment was a thought torn loose, a memory willingly exhaled, not lost. Planted, at the end of the corridor, a door of black glass with a handprint etched into its center. Lily didn't hesitate. Her palm met the surface. It rippled like water and opened. The room was quiet. Soft music pulsed from somewhere deep beneath the floor, tones that didn't follow melody, but memory. The chamber glowed pale blue from above, diffused through thick frost glass veins that curled across the ceiling like roots. In the center stood a single pod, organic, open, empty. Next to it, seated on the edge of a low platform, was Camille, but she was different. Her eyes were opalescent, not white, not silver, a full spectrum refracted into calm. Her skin was translucent, her veins running with the same crystal serum now humming through Lily's own body. But her expression, somehow, had not changed. Still Camille, still sharp, soft, impossible to forget. She looked up and smiled. It was the smile Lily remembered from before everything fractured. "Took you long enough." Lily stepped forward. She tried to speak. Nothing came, only breath. Camille tilted her head. "You felt me, through the current, through the lattice. Didn't you?" Lily nodded. "It wasn't a rescue," Camille said gently. "It was an invitation." "Why didn't you tell me?" Lily finally asked. Camille reached out, her fingers luminous and warm. "Because the garden doesn't explain," she said. "It reveals." She gestured to the pod behind her. "This is mine, the original cradle. They call it Bloom Zero. I was the first to survive the full sequence. Not just biologically, but mentally, spiritually, I became aware inside it. And when I reached for something to hold on to, her hand closed over Lily's. I remembered you." Lily's knees gave out. She knelt before Camille, overcome by the slow, searing burn of recognition. Not just love, not anymore. It was connection, layered across time and self. A bond now coded in their blood, their minds, their data. A living echo. "I thought I lost you," Lily whispered. "You did," Camille said, "but loss is where gardens begin." She stood, stepped toward the pod. "It's time." "Time for what?" Lily asked. Camille turned. Her eyes glimmered, not just with light, but with remembering. To go further than the code, to show them that memory is just the first step. She laid herself inside the pod. "They built the garden to decode the soul, but I think we can make it bloom." Lily backed away as the chamber began to hum. Lights flared in complex geometries across the walls. The pod sealed, and through the frost glass lid, she saw Camille exhale her final breath, only to inhale again. Not breath, signal. The garden surged around her. Lights went white. The data lattice cracked. Every system in the atrium blinked. The converted paused in mid-motion. The air thickened with pressure, like the entire sanctuary was holding something in. And then Lily heard Camille's voice. Not in her ears, not in her mind, but in the very glass. It spoke through reflection, through fracture, through every shard of light that passed between them. "You carried me here. Now I carry you forward." Outside, the atrium bloomed. The dome cracked open, not shattered, but flowered, petals of refractive glass peeling back to reveal the night sky. Light streamed from within, not as heat but as memory, projected across the California hills like aurora shaped by thought. And in every shard, a name, a face, a memory once too painful to hold, all now free. You made it back for now, but the things in the dark never truly leave, do they? They watch, they wait, and perhaps they remember you now too. If you want to hear more, if you dare to listen again, step back into the shadows. Like the video, subscribe, but know this, some doors once opened do not close so easily.